Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Grip Lock preview for the United States Disc Golf Championship and the Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship. Don't worry, we're not going to go into a rant like last year on how the Throw Pink Women's should be U.S. Women's. We'll talk about that till we're blue in the face. Nothing's going to change. But it should be U.S. Women's. We'll leave it at that. We have few course changes here. First off, the weather as of right now is still looking phenomenal.
If we keep talking about it, we're gonna ruin it.
I think really the only question mark is just Hurricane Milton is hitting Florida within the next day or two. Hopefully everyone that's listening from this down there is safe or has moved to a safe spot, because it looks like obviously it's going to be a very, very bad storm. But as far as in relation to USDGC, which is a very minor spot on this, it would just be if that storm turned more north than they expected, is what it's kind of looking like right now. But as it sits, the weather in Rock Hill, South Carolina should be gorgeous. It should be perfect.
Yeah, the only thing you'll be thinking about is it might be a little cold if you have a morning tee time.
Yes, yeah, it does. It does have definitely a cold front that's coming through there, but it doesn't even look like the wind's going to be that crazy from what I saw originally. So it's going to be great. And speaking of weather, they've done about as good of a job as they could getting this course ready to even have this event after the last hurricane that just came through. I think they pumped 99 point some million gallons of water off the course. They brought in like 150,000 pounds of mulch. They did all kinds of work to make this place even playable, to the point that when Connor and Silas went down there, Connor was just like, came back and was like, no, it's fine. It wasn't even difference. Yeah, it wasn't even like, oh, you can definitely tell where this course got destroyed. And like they did a phenomenal job getting it back to where this event can even happen. So shout out to the grounds crew down there. They did make a few changes. One change being hole 3. It looks like they moved the tee pad from where it was. So hole 3 originally was kind of next to 18's basket on the left side of the road, shooting out the gap, going down. They still are playing this as a par 4, combining hole 3 and 4. They've moved that tee pad across the road, closer to the house. This doesn't seem like let's make the hole better move. This seems like this gives people less congestion around the green of 18 move.
I think, yeah, not only that, but it also was probably one of the most congested areas as far as the pros having to walk right through where everybody was to get to that tee, whereas now they'll probably be easier for them to rope things off if they wanted to, because they can kind of walk them around, whereas before it was like they're just trudging straight from 2's basket right through the middle of everything to that next tee pad. It felt like the one walk where you were like, oh, like there's the card, they're coming through right now.
Well, that and 16. 16 to 17.
Yes, very, very true. So I think that those are definitely both the reasons. I don't have an issue with it. I mean, that whole, as long as I thought the tee shot was, I've seen it on camera, I haven't seen it in person. I thought it looked a little better where it was, but that tee shot is really meant to just be a setup. Hopefully it still kind of gives you the same feel of like, okay, you can try to go more aggressive and get further if you want versus the safer play. Because realistically, that hole comes down to the second shot. So I'll be curious to see what lines people are taking and if there is multiple options. It looks like there will be. Because, at the end of the day, that hole is really made by the second shot. I wish they were still 2 separate holes. I'm not changing that take.
Yeah, well, because mainly the next hole 4, stinks. Is just not a good hole.
Yeah,
so that like tunnel shot, 300-foot tunnel shot, I just don't enjoy it. So I agree.
And nobody ever sees it either. Because you never walk over there.
No. Yeah, I think it would have just been a better course overall if they left hole 3 and 4 as they were. Maybe tighten up some OB or something. I don't know, but is what it is. The only other change that I've noticed looking at the caddy book is hole 9. They basically rearranged the trees to where before you had your trees kind of like you could pick a few different gaps, and they were fake trees, to where now they're real trees just in giant planters, and it kind of forces you down a tunnel the way they laid them out.
It's interesting. It kind of reminds me of some golf course holes where they'll have those like early low ceilings in the woods, and then you get into the open. It does seem like it's going to force players to throw a straight shot. I'll be curious to see how many guys just go right at it because you're pointed basically at the basket versus how many players, if there is room, try to flex something and get it out to the right and then crash it in. Because, it does almost turn it into a mock tunnel shot. I'll be curious, like I said, to see if players just take dead aim at the basket. I think I liked it better. I liked the shot that the other OB setup or obstacle setup forced a little better because I think it was just kind of touchy and you were skipping like towards the OB Whereas this time you're kind of sliding, I guess, towards the back wall. The elevated basket, it's not like people are going to be ace running it. So I'll just be interested to see how this one plays out.
Yeah. I think where I'm more curious is Winthrop clearly allows them to like put stuff in. Yeah. Right, like we have the mozzarella sticks; those go in the ground. Like they clearly allow certain things to happen. I'm just so fascinated why this back corner of the property they can't just plant these trees.
Yeah, maybe
because like that would go a lot to me. That would do a lot to me. Like if the trees weren't either fake Christmas trees or that one year they wrapped them in the fake spider webs, or someone did. I don't think it was technically the tournament. And then now like in the planters. It's just the optics. Like, I get we're at a college campus, so what am I even talking about optics-wise? But, like, it's just, like, one final reminder of, like, yes, we don't have control over this property.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't like the look of it. I think it'll probably play fine. That's another hole, though, where I just kind of appreciate the original tee, where they had it back to the right in between the actual two trees. I think one of those two trees might have fallen or something, but back to the right over there where you were kind of throwing a forehand pitch up. I get the move kind of makes players maybe be able to be more aggressive, but
it's the most forgettable hole of that stretch because, on your way to it, you've got 5, 6, 7, 8, which are all very signature, some difficult holes. And then it kind of sits in between the exciting, will they go for eagle hole? And then some like that sprawling field of OB basically that you play after that. So it's kind of forgetful. I'm wondering, I'll be interested to see if it plays easier this year. Cause like I said, the shot that I think it's asking for, I don't think is super difficult. What it's going to be about is distance control because you're carrying OB and then you don't have a ton of room behind the basket. But if people get the distance dialed in, and the wind isn't huge, it shouldn't be a super, super hard hole because I think I saw most people but previously were either leaving it short because they were throwing it too high on hyzer, or a lot of people were sawing it and skipping left out of bounds that way. So, but another reason the hole kind of ends up stinking is because the drop zone putt. I've just never been a fan of that.
Yeah.
Little trick shot putt.
So as we look at last year's results, Kyle Klein took this major down over Bradley Williams in second. And then you had Isaac Robinson and Simon Lizotte tied for third. This is very much a placement style course. Distance can come into play and be an advantage at certain times, but it's really just whatever player stays in bounds and keeps the disc in play.
Right.
It's going to be very scoreable for pretty much everyone in the field skill-wise, but the OB just brings that extra element of like, as soon as you mess up once, that can really snowball. And there's so many, just you got to land the shot on the perfect angle, perfect placement. So I think the one player I want to look at first is Isaac Robinson, sitting 4 strokes back there last year. Obviously, had a world title this year at Ivy Hills, kind of where, that was one of the more featured courses at Worlds. Offers a similar style, nowhere near as difficult OB-wise, but a similar style where it's just asking for you to place it in the middle of the fairway, play smart, play conservative golf, and attack when you have the chance. What do you think of Isaac's chance of winning his second major in 2 back-to-back years here?
I like him a lot. I really do. I think that it would also put him 1 away from the Grand Slam already as well for his career. I do think that USDGC, 20% of what's going to go into the winners tournament is going to be, you're going to get a certain amount of breaks.
Yeah. And
what percentage of them end up being bad versus good? Like which roll away goes out of bounds versus sits? Which skip do you get? Like there are so many things that are going to happen that are going to feel out of your control. And I think one of the players that eliminates those, he eliminates the amount of those per round is Isaac. He seems to have a lot of, he plays very smart. He has a lot of care into the angles he's throwing discs on. He always, when he gets a good game plan down, he really can tame courses. It's the same way it felt at Ivy. He felt like he was taming a course that was giving a lot of other players bad breaks. And I would look for, if he comes out round 1 and can establish himself, especially with the putter, and he has a good game plan, expect him to kind of repeat those rounds throughout the tournament and almost heat up as he goes. Because last year he did really heat up in that final round, but the second one is what held him back. But I like his chances a lot. I think beyond obviously a Gannon Burr, he's certainly something to look back at because he has been getting progressively better at this event. I feel like every year we talk about him and he's inched closer and closer.
Yeah, and I think the comfort level is definitely a big thing for him out there. And his games always reminded me of a different former champion, Chris Dickerson. We always, whenever we talk about Isaac Robinson, a lot of times it's in that same breath, just because playing style just makes sense. And when his game's on and when he's dialed that angle control, there's just no one better in the world. But if there's anyone better in the world, it is this player, which is Gannon Burr. Previous champion out here. Last year, he came in 27th. I think everyone would agree he's the favorite coming into this weekend. It would mean a lot. $30,000 is what's on the line here, which if we take a look at Gannon Burr's current season earnings, that would push him to $175,000, meaning he wouldn't even have to win the Pro Tour Championship to cross $200,000 if he takes down this win. I'm pretty positive. So obviously that's a lot on the line, but I think even more in his mind, this would farther push the narrative of, is this the greatest season of all time if he's able to pick up another major here? And then just the way he's been playing all season, he hasn't finished in 27th all year. Yeah. So I don't expect him to be that far down again. But he is a player where I think that he has to get off to a hot start in my mind. I don't think, with how tight this OB is, he's a very... momentum gets on his side, and when he gets a full head of steam, he can kind of steamroll people. But this is a tournament, unlike a lot they play, where you can shoot yourself out of it in one singular round. Yeah. So what do you think of Gannon? Is he your favorite as well coming to this event? Yeah,
he is, because he throws the disc the best right now, and that's what this Simple. Tournament, if you got to land the disc in the right spots. But yeah, things can bottle up and get out of control and spiral, I think, with him at this course. I think it frustrates him a lot. I've talked to him after rounds and seen his frustration. He's not somebody who accepts the spit outs and rollaways, maybe brushes them off as easy as some other players, somebody like Isaac might be able to do. And you have to have a short memory at this course. You really do, because it's going to come in runs. You're going to get hot, and then you're going to take a triple bogey, and then you got to get hot again, and you have to just keep pushing forward, because at the end of the day, a lot of times it is just the players that can put together 4 decent rounds. They might have one that kind of separates itself from the other, but this is not a shootout. That's not the tournament this is. So I think that he just has to kind of keep that in mind and stay focused throughout the tournament. Yeah. Because, he definitely should be the favorite to win. And, he's already got one of his majors this year, but in the spot he's in right now, this is the time for him to just be collecting a whole bunch of majors as he works through these next few years. As the field is right now, he's dominating, and how you can separate yourself from some other players, especially in this era, like a Calvin, is just continue to keep winning majors year after year and build that total. Yeah, I think one of the things that makes me really like him at this course is just his complete game. Because a lot of times you'll see USDGC can end up being a lefty or a forehand player's course. Not across the board, but it can end up being that. And with Gannon, he just has so much control over the forehand and the backhand that, even if the wind switches up, sometimes that can be detrimental to a player like Isaac, who doesn't have a forehand, when it's like all of a sudden this hole that should be a backhand or could be a backhand, I need to go forehand. Not that he can't, he just won't. Yeah. Whereas Gannon Burr is super comfortable both ways. He's going to attack the hole how the hole is supposed to be attacked, and that is a huge advantage. And you're right, he is just the guy that is throwing the disc best right now, and there's no way around it. And this is a thrower's tournament. And even if it was a putter's tournament, I'd still like Gannon, because he's also putting the disc very well. And I think that's also actually can be a key for him out here, because there's several holes where the hazards in play and stuff like that, where you might have a 45-footer for par. With how hot his putt can get, those can be like really big strokes saving moments. I mean, I remember sometimes when James Conrad, I believe when he took it down that one year, I think he hit a huge putt on 16, if I'm not mistaken. Everybody that wins this tournament, it seems, you remember when Gannon won, he made a huge putt on 17. When Paul won, he made multiple putts down the stretch. You have to be able to make... Sometimes the course is going to feel like it's taking everything from you, and sometimes your only chance to take some strokes back are to not even let the disc hit the ground. You just got to put it in the bucket from wherever you get near. Well, that's what I'm saying, is sometimes the biggest putts are almost the ones that save your par. Yeah. Where it doesn't. And sometimes they're putts that would turn into doubles if you miss them. Yeah, because it'll be, I just vividly remember James Conrad, left side, hole 16, way outside the circle, massive jump putt. He straddles the rope as he's running it in. And those are the big moments where
even when your drive's off, your putt can save you momentum, and it'd be something that could spiral you out of control. And I really like Gannon in those situations. So another player, though, that when we're talking about a complete game has to come into conversation is Eagle McMahon. This is a tournament that
you can have the conversation.
A few years ago, Eagle McMahon probably should have won this thing, punched the ground, broke his hand.
Yeah.
Then the different injuries and stuff. Even last year, even with injuries, he came in 9th. He is what should be fully recovered. His forehand's back. Everything kind of looks good. And you do have to historically like the Eagle McMahon of old at this course. But do you like the Eagle McMahon of new at this course?
No, I've never really liked Eagle McMahon at this tournament because I think that the mental game falls apart a little bit. We've seen it happen a number of times. Now, I will say, I think he's gotten himself to a decent place this year. You can tell he's kind of been working on it and trying to settle into his game a little bit, but it's not there yet. I mean, there are too many guys I like more than him right now, and there's also just this tournament can produce an element of randomness as well. Even though Kyle Klein's insanely talented, nobody was really, chalking him up. If you look at that leaderboard and you see a lot of names you didn't expect. So I don't like Eagle McMahon at this tournament at all. If he gets in contention, it'd be electric. He's very fun to watch go around that course. He can do some incredible things, and the people love to watch it. So I would certainly root him on, but I don't expect anything.
The only thing I like Eagle McMahon at here is the randomness, because I do think arm talent wise, obviously he has all the shots and more that he needs to compete out here. It is the mental side.
Yeah.
Like it really does come down to that. So I don't necessarily like him to win it, but I don't hate him to like pop off a top 5 or something like that. You know what I mean? I could definitely see him get himself in the mix, get himself in contention. And then it just depends on where his mental state stays. But yeah, honestly, I kind of like the alternative of Eagle Simon a little bit more out here. I still don't love Simon just because his
game's all over the place.
But a lot of times that's when Simon's at his best, is when you have no expectation and out of nowhere his putter got hot and you're like, wow, there's Simon again.
That's true. I won't act like you can predict Simon Lizotte, because you're right. I mean, every time he wins, he'll be like, I'm not even sure what just happened. If there ever was warning signs, though, him playing bad at MVP like he just did, and him just being in a bad headspace, like I think it's one thing when he flies into an event, doesn't have expectations, but I feel like he's just kind of been in a bad headspace, and you could see that via social media, and so that it's tough to be there. You have to at least go into this event really, really, I think, in a good place and with a real plan to attack this course from the mental side of things.
No, I fully agree. Yeah, I think the last 3 players I want to really dive into before I open it up to see if you have anyone else is the guys that I'm putting in the category of need the major the most. Yeah. Which is obviously Calvin Heimberg, Ricky Wysocki, and then the third one I'm throwing in doesn't necessarily need the major. I think just needs the win, which is Paul McBeth.
Yeah.
Because Paul...
he needs the major, too.
He needs the major, too.
He's running out of time for that record.
He needs the major, too, for the record. Yeah, I'm just saying, career-wise, he doesn't need it as bad as Ricky's drought or Calvin's
especially
lifelong drought.
Yeah.
But Paul needs it for the streak.
Right.
Because... whether or not he wins the Tour Championship and that can be counted, I don't know. It's a question mark. He can just make sure the streak stays alive. You don't know the streak I'm talking about. This would be year 13 straight, or he's at 13 straight years of an Elite Series or a major win. Ricky has won this year, surpassing Paul. They both started in 2011. Yeah. So Paul has to win to keep that streak alive. If not, it is now fully Ricky's, which I know Paul does not want that to happen.
Yeah.
So that's where Paul needs it. Ricky and Calvin need it for the same thing we're talking about every major. Out of those 3, which one do you think is most likely to win?
That's tough. Not Calvin. I'll get that out of the way. I think that it's between Rick and Paul. I'd like to say Paul, but I think I'm actually going to say Rick, because the thing with Paul is this year, and it's just been over and over and over again, and even at MVP, like he's had a few events where he's just been so close, but a little too late, like it was an MVP. And then you've seen a lot of events, even at some majors, where it's like he jumps up 3 steps, falls down 5.
Yeah.
And then jumps up 5 more, falls down 7. Like it's that kind of thing where I think I'm going to have flashes of hope for Paul McBeth 40 times during the first 2.5 days of this tournament. But I think it's going to be one of those things where it's like, okay, day 1, all right, he's in it. After day 2, maybe, hey, Paul's really into this thing. And then halfway through day 3, you're like, slowly start. That's kind of been the way have been with Paul this season, and it's definitely not impossible, but it's going to take a special 4 days of disc golf. I think it's going to take a very special 4 days of disc golf. It's going to have to all come together, and we're going to need to see something we have not seen yet because, you know, even when he's been putting up good scores and somewhat challenging at tournaments, I feel like his game still looks shaky somewhat.
Yeah.
And that's good in a sense of like,
he still has the potential.
I have not, what I can tell you for free is I have not seen Paul go out, play Paul Macbeth's brand of disc golf and lose a tournament. Like that's not something I've been watching. So that's good in a sense, but also it's like, okay, can he still find that gear? And I don't expect him to find this tournament. I do expect him to get himself in the mix early. How long that is, like I said, maybe halfway through day 3.
Yeah. I think I would agree. I think it would be Ricky from this list that has the best shot.
But tough to say because I don't think any of the 3 are winning.
Yeah, I think of the 3, here, I'll put it this way. I think Calvin is most likely to finish the best out of those 3. But I think Ricky's the most likely to win out of those 3. Mainly, I fully agree with what you just said about Paul. I think Paul will end. My prediction for Paul is he's going to end up on a leader chase card between day 2 and 3. Somewhere in that range, but then he's not going to be in it, or he's going to be completely out of it and put himself in it too little, too late.
We should try and predict feature card. So we'll have Kyle. Obviously.
Feature card,
Kyle, and then they're going to.
How do they normally do feature card at this?
I don't even know.
Why do I feel like this one's one where they just kind of like let it be random? They surely don't do that. Kyle has to be on there.
It's going to be Kyle, but then probably at least one more in of a guy. So maybe Calvin.
Kyle, Calvin.
And then from that point on,
probably points leader Gannon.
Probably Gannon, and then maybe they just throw in Paul. Maybe they throw in.
I don't know how they typically do this because this isn't like a normal. This isn't a normal DGPT.
I would say that.
I would say it'd probably be Paul or AB.
I would say at least Gannon, Kyle, and Calvin sound like locks to me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. But I think
it's just completely random. It's gonna be like you're gonna have nobody we know. Alden Harris is on lead card.
Ricky though, I really like his game for this course. I think it's just the mental block of this is the one he hasn't gotten. Obviously at this point he hasn't gotten Champions Cup either.
Majors are just a mental block for.
It's just like this is USDGC's always been the one that like has eluded Ricky, multiple time world champ, 0-time US champ, and I think that plays a lot into coming into this week. Just that extra pressure, and he's put himself in position. Honestly, probably one of his best shots to win was that 2016 time when it got canceled because of the hurricane.
Here's a take that it might have to do with some of the randomness of this event. I think that the guys who oftentimes get themselves in better positions to win at an event like this are players that would play to try and make a top 10, that would play to try and make a top 5, because they're the ones that aren't going to quit as easily. I think when this tournament is probably going to give almost every player a moment of either hopelessness or severe panic. And if you are one of the players who is just desperately trying to win a major, you're not really worried about anything else, you just need to win, I think that's amplified a lot more. Whereas I think if you are Bradley Williams, look at last year, or even Kyle Klein, and maybe you get shot down to 18th, but you're thinking, hey, let's just build back up and get it back into that top 10. A lot easier to find your way to first that way.
Well, I think
if you fight this course, it fights back.
Brody Smith's going to hate this take.
You're something about momentum.
This is it. Okay, Ricky is a momentum player, and this is the momentum stopping tournament. You're not going to have momentum for 4 rounds.
You're going to get halted.
And so I don't think it is by chance that one of the most openly feels the momentum, feels the vibes, likes being in the front of the tee box, likes just going on that streak, hasn't won this one.
Yeah.
Because like that's just not going to happen. You're not going to come out here. You might be able to do it for a round, but you're not going to across 4 rounds just get the momentum and keep it. Even across 2 or 3 rounds, like there's going to be a blow up hole.
Yeah, because there's so many par 3s with OB.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's going to be something where you throw and you're on a you get like 7 birdies in a row, and then you double bogey one,
right?
And you have to be able to bounce back after that. Not that Ricky's incapable of that, but I think he mentally loves that high of being on the 6 or 7 or 8 birdie streak, and then when the breaks hit, I think that's a hard for him to get back and just keep churning.
It's tough.
So I think that's what holds him back. But I think from that list of those 3, Ricky's definitely the guy. Is there anyone else that you wanted to bring up storyline wise with this event?
Yeah, I have one more player I won't mention yet because there's somebody else I'm really tracking. Well, actually, I'll mention one other because Brody mentioned on debate night, Sullivan Tipton.
Yeah,
good finish last year. Good finish at Worlds, very good forehand. Look for Sullivan Tipton to maybe be sneaky and pop himself onto a leader chase card in this.
My pick on debate night was Evan Smith.
Yeah, also a really hot player right now.
He came in 15th last year. He played really good. I think just one thing to also note, not really don't need to watch out for this player, but Drew Gibson did qualify. Monday qualify. You also had Grady and Paige Shue won the Monday qualify.
Yeah, well, and as much
Monday
as
qualifiers can be sneaky.
Listen, as much as it's like, Drew Gibson shot 7 under.
That's what I'm saying.
Grady Shue shot 11 under.
That's what I'm saying. Monday qualifying people, it's before.
Here's the bottom line is they know how to do it.
Before Monday qualifying was like, oh, someone shot even or 1 under to get in.
Guess what?
If someone's popping off a 7 to 11 under, it's like,
guess what?
Well, that's gonna win. That could win you it if you just do it.
Guess what? 4 7 unders did last year. Wins turn by 1 stroke. So like, you could say whatever you want. Like, well, yeah, Drew's not going to win because he's probably not. But he shot.
Guess what?
We just watched him shoot around under pressure. Like there's pressure there in Monday qualifying, especially if you're Drew Gibson, and that's what he needs. He needs 4 more of those.
Last year, which obviously, year to year everything changes, but last year, if someone just went 10 under, 10 under, 10 under to start, and then shot even par final round, they win by 3.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's just funny.
That's so hard?
I know. It's just crazy to think of that. Of like, imagine you're that person. You go 10, 10, 10. And then you get into the final round and like everything's falling apart.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know if
that person would actually win, because if they were getting close to even par, I think they'd go to like 7 over.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if you could physically get yourself to do that.
I don't think someone would do that, but it's just a funny thought for me.
It's funny for
now. Over on the Throw Pinks women's side, last year we had the controversial Holland Handley win. Some people say she cheated. I was still not willing to call her a cheater by any means.
And look at the scores that final round.
And she took it from Kristen, got 6 strokes back on Kristen in that final round.
From Kristen, she took it from a lot of players.
A lot of
look
players.
At all those 67s.
But I'm saying Kristen shot a 65 to Holland's 59. But Kristen and Holland were the ones that went into the playoff when all that went down. Then you had Henna Blomers and Evelina Salonen coming in third. This is definitely, by and large, a throwers tournament. Mm-hmm. Are you expecting a pretty similar leaderboard? Holland, Kristen, Henna, Evelina being in the leaders with Ella and Missy right behind them. Is that kind of the top 5 or 6 you're thinking, or is there anyone that's missing from that list?
No, I think we'll probably see a similar shape up. I think that history shows that maybe this course isn't super kind to those FPO players without a ton of distance. And because I would look at somebody like a Silva Saarinen playing this year, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like I would look at somebody like Silva Saarinen and think, yeah, maybe she keeps the disc in play, but so does Owen, and Owen fell way off the pace last year. I think the course can just be kind of demanding. And so I expect to see a similar look. Maybe not Henna. She has not had a good season.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think Evelina will certainly be dangerous out there. Holland as well, and Kristen for sure.
I could definitely see a Haley King or Kat Murch get in the mix more.
Yeah, Kat Murch has been good this year. That'll be interesting to track. I can see that for sure.
I definitely the thing with
Paige Pierce
could get in the mix. You never know out here.
She's pretty fired up at MVP.
The thing with Kristen this year has just been when there's a lot of OB, things haven't really went her way, which we kind of saw it towards the end of this event last year. So I wouldn't be surprised for Holland to take it down again. I'm sure Holland would love to take it down in a fashion that people aren't. There's no conspiracies around. I think she would love to take it down convincingly by like 5 or 6 strokes. Because that was a big deal to a lot of people, and a lot of people are still holding that against her. You still see those comments here and there.
We shall see.
But I think that list of Kristen, Owen, Evelina, Missy, and Ella Hansen, who was in there last year, I think those players are kind of what I'm expecting at the top, but I won't be surprised with a Haley King or a Kat Murch or even a Paige Pierce sneaking in there.
I would be surprised.
You'd be surprised if Paige Pierce snuck in there?
I'm going to go ahead and say that. I'd be surprised if she wins. If she gets getting in like the top 5, maybe I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. But let's get into our predictions now. Heading into this event, major, everything's worth double.
This is big.
I'm at 112 points. Trevor's at 113 points.
Pretty crazy.
So 1 point separates us coming into this thing. Let's have Trevor started off with your MPO picks.
All right, getting spicy. I got 2 safe ones, one really, really spicy. Gannon Burr taking it down. I think that's just the safe play there. Isaac Robinson in third. In second place, I'm going with Joey Buckets.
I don't hate that.
I have this feeling he did pretty well last year. We've seen him pop up here and there this year, even on some bigger stages. And if there is going to be one player in the top 3 that's a little, like maybe a Bradley Williams was last year, I could see it being Joey Buckets.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
Bucket hat out there in the Winthrop sun. I like it.
I went very defensive with my top 3. I just put 3 players in here who wouldn't surprise me if they won.
Fair enough. Double points,
And
sometimes
that's
you
it.
gotta.
So Gannon Burr, I put it winning. I put Ricky Wysocki in second. I think he could get himself in
got
the mix
one
there.
separator.
And then I got Isaac Robinson in third.
So it's Rick versus Joey Buckets.
Rick versus Joey Buckets.
That's it.
I kind of like Joey Buckets more than Rick, but
when you think about just needing to get Rick in your top 3 though versus Joey Buckets.
at this event, a lot of times
tough.
Rick is like win or go home.
Yeah.
So-
Joey Buckets, man, he's gonna sneak in.
Now on FPO, I'm willing to throw my heart feeling out the window. Actually, no, my head feeling out the window and listen to my heart. I'm putting Kristen winning still. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm willing to predict that it will. So Kristen winning, Holland second, Missy third. It's a similar vibe where I just went percentages of winning and then ranked them from first to third in my head and then put that as my top 3.
I played the percentages as well. I went Kristen, Missy, Own. So
You put Own in
not
there.
Own. Holland.
Okay,
I wrote
so we
Holland.
just have a different order.
Yeah, so really it's just between not a ton of separation.
Not a ton of
necessarily in that
separation
one.
in general here. Dark Horse will provide separation. I don't love my pick unless I love my pick. But this could be it. This could be it because this was back in the day, his event. This is his first time playing it with more freedom in his bag again.
Yeah.
He's not bound by the Prodigy. I almost called it Pro Discus. When he was playing with Pro Discus is when he was dirty.
Dirty's
This used to be his thing. And so I'm having a feeling that this could be his year to get back in that mix.
Okay.
I'm going with Kevin Jones.
I think KJ's like 1 and 2 for you on Dark Horse picks this year.
I like him this year.
But he's got a high ceiling.
Let me confirm he's playing. Because that's one thing I didn't do. I just looked at the ring. I was like, oh,
good
dude,
point.
KJ USA. Give it.
My Dark Horse pick is Paul Ulibarri because I don't think he's going to do anything crazy, but I think I could see him in
I'm not
I see
convinced he's playing.
He is. I looked on there. I looked on the list.
All right. Well, Kevin Jones is registered.
Yeah, so is Yuli.
I don't know if Yuli's
why-
getting a tee time.
Why do you think that? Yuli literally came 39th. The lowest
I
player
understand.
in the
But
standings.
when's the last event he played?
You're saying because of injury?
I'm saying because he has a kid, and I think Brad Hammond's caddying for someone else.
No, he's going to play.
Okay.
He's going to play.
I like the pick. His last event was Crocol back in July.
This event's in his backyard, though. He could literally drive home after the round.
Well,
and see his
I
kid.
like the pick just because I think it's a 50-50 shot. I might win this before the event ever starts.
Guys, is Yuli playing, guys? Text him right now.
No. It's locked in.
Well, no, it's locked in for sure.
Yeah.
But I'd like to know beforehand.
Yeah, this is your last chance to change it
Get ahead
before
of
the
it.
text goes out.
No, I'm not going to change
Okay.
it. I'm not because, like I said, he's still registered, and the event is like literally in his backyard, and it's his favorite event.
I just
it's
think
literally his favorite
everyone-
event.
I just think-
If there's an event that he would play, it would be this one. It'd be this one.
Yeah, I just don't know why.
But I don't have insider
know why
info.
Brad's not caddying
Is
for
he
him.
on the scene? Where's
And
his Instagram?
he hasn't played since July. Was the other factor. So
It's not a big deal.
we'll see.
It's not a big deal. He's healed.
Well, we'll find out if Paul Ulibarri is out there. Paul Yuli versus
There's no way.
KJ USA.
There's no way he's playing.
We'll see what happens, but you can be sure to tune in to DGN Pro if you want to watch all the United States disc golf action going down. You actually get 20% off your first month of DGN Pro with code FDG20 if you want to use that. If not, Joe Mez's coverage of it will come out to the public, I think, in like late October, but we will recap the event on Monday on Grip Locked. We'll talk to you then.